Anyway, since we seem to be out of witnesses, I thought I'd drink a little.
And here we are. Tyler, how's it going?
Hey, I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm good. Had a relatively busy morning, had a 2-hour Zoom conference with a bunch of lawyers out of Calgary.
Yeah.
And went out of Lethbridge, Mr. Robert Bissett, who I know you're.
Oh, Bob. I got lots of files with Bob right now. They're fun.
But now I've finished my lunch and I've got a straight Jack Daniels with my special whiskey ice cup.
Geez, I am a little behind. I'm having a cup of black coffee.
Well,
so be it.
There we go. I am wearing a button shirt because I know you had some criticism of my.
Yeah, there were some comments from some of our viewers that I received personally about your attire during our last video.
A jacket or a tie because it's Friday and screw that noise. What I thought we talked about this briefly, is sort of lawyers and egos and what we do about that, or should we do anything about that? And what got me thinking about it is I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about narcissism and ego. And they talked about this TikTok video that everybody has seen where you've got this gentleman in Idaho whose truck broke down. And rather than apparently go into a tizzy about it, he got on a longboard and went to work drinking a bottle of cranberry juice and while singing to a Fleetwood Mac song, and which it went viral. And the discussion was, why is it viral? What is it about this guy that struck people? And their consensus was, and I tend to agree, is this guy just had this air of authenticity. He was living in that moment, in that place. And if anyone hasn't seen it, go look up Cranberry Skateboarder and it'll show up. But as I understand, he's part Hispanic and part Aboriginal. He's got a tattoo in the back of his head with a brush cut of what I'm assuming are spiritual feathers. So he seems very content with himself, even though he's in a situation of some distress, one would assume. And I think that resonated with people. And the thing that struck me, I was listening to this in the morning, was this isn't us as a profession and the people we know, right? This is not the kind of people we typically relate to. And the thing that struck me the most is I've been on all sorts of boards and things, and lovely people, don't get me wrong. Lawyers are some of the most giving people in the world. But whenever you get a group of lawyers together, there is not a lot of authenticity necessarily in that room. Am I wrong? Or am I being uncharitable?
Okay, so as a young guy, I've had a little bit of a tough time navigating that. When am I with these other lawyers and we're just buddies and I can say what I think and just relax and be me? And when am I supposed to make sure that people are understanding that I am competent and that I'm good at what I do and I'm knowledgeable and I'm confident and I have my shit together? So I have struggled a little bit with that. Who are you? Who are you supposed to be? And I've probably erred on both sides of that on occasion. So it's weird. Yeah, it's a good point.
And your point is good because there are lawyers that we engage with personally. So you and Alan and I, for example, and we'll go for lunch or we'll have a drink. And we have discussions candidly about how stupid we are, about the dumb things that we do in trying to deal with our spouses or other issues. And there's no air of trying to impress each other with how competent we are. In fact, it's quite often the opposite. But we get in a larger group and we don't do that typically. Typically, the lawyers get together and let me tell you about my successes of late, and how I did at the Court of Appeal and blah, 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 blah. And it struck me that there's a weakness in that, or there's something wanting in there that maybe as a profession we could learn to improve upon. It's just kind of my own thought. What do you think?
Why? Why is that an improvement? I guess is my first thought. I think I would be a lot more comfortable if I could just be myself and relaxed and not worried about having to impress or embarrass myself as much or whatever, right? If you just relaxed and enjoy it. We did a Christmas party. You were there last year, a group of us lawyers, and there was a comedian who really poked fun at most of us. And that was good. I think it was fun.
Yeah, but you were gone before this happened, I think. But I used to MC our Christmas parties for the city of Lethbridge. And it was a roast. And there were lawyers before me that did that. Bruce Hepburn, Art Larson. And it was a roast. And the intent was we had to give our egos a shake and say, you know what, we aren't all that in a bag of chips. And some of us are significantly less than a bag of chips. And so it was a one opportunity a year that we could poke fun at ourselves and criticize each other in a sort of comedic way. And that ended because, frankly, a bunch of young lawyers couldn't deal with it. The senior lawyers were happy getting abused. Bob Bissett, we talked about, I made fun of him every single year because their firm is a large firm and
they can take
known, and they're predominantly, or were at that point, LDS Mormon. So they were easy targets. And every year I made fun of them somehow. And every year Bob Bissett showed up and laughed. And that was okay.
Yeah.
Some first or second year lawyer got his feelings hurt. And next thing you know, oh, wow, this is just terrible. And it really is reminiscent of what came after that, which is this sort of tragic safe spaces we want to create. Apparently, Lethbridge lawyers need safe spaces. Anyway.
All right, no, this is interesting. So maybe there was some benefit to us being able to poke a little fun at ourselves as a profession, or even a little bit individually. That, yeah,
I think so.
Maybe that is valuable. We can just, take the stress out and just be ourselves a little bit and not have to hold ourselves up to that, type A personality kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think it even maybe relates a little bit to access to justice. You know, people are disenfranchised more and more with the justice system. And in part, it's because we set ourselves occasionally above the rest of society. Or at least that's the way we portray things. We are these intelligent Renaissance people, men and women. But we're all flawed. And, you know, my experience, I think I've mentioned this before, one of my favorite groups of clients are farmers and ranchers. Because there's a basic wisdom, but there's also an applied wisdom that is something different than what we do or what doctors do or accountants. They got their hands in the dirt and they're dealing with animals. And I find that fascinating. And the idea that I'm here and they're here is so ridiculous, because if you let me loose on a ranch or a farm, I'd be less than useless. So I think there's some benefit to us as a profession going, you know what, we're flawed. And I think especially because we know our profession is struggling right now to improve access to justice. Well, if we want to improve something, we have to be able to look at ourselves critically and go, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And that requires a healthy ego, not a narcissistic ego. So that was, you know, the thing that struck me is we could use a little humility, maybe. including myself. I give you a bad time quite often. I've been thinking lately. Tyler's known to buy 2 blizzards at the same time, and he eats one and he puts the other in the freezer.
My
And
back, yeah.
I harass him about that constantly. And there is a sort of an arrogance in that. We're partners, and it's our office, not my office. And I catch myself going, you know what? Like, you're not all that in a bag of chips either. There's things you're doing in the office. I know I leave a mess in the office, and you have to come in and you got to straighten out the desk because we share an office space there. So anyway, I just thought, as a profession, as we relate to each other and our clients, a little humility goes a long way, is kind of my own thought. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like the point about access to justice. I think that makes sense. I think the thing that really strikes me is a lot of young lawyers don't stay lawyers for very long, especially in private practice.
Yeah.
And it is hard. I get that. Maybe, yeah, I think that I take it a little more personally that maybe it would be easier, and it's a hard job at what we do. Maybe it would be easier if we weren't held to that, if we didn't hold ourselves to that standard, if we could let ourselves be people and make mistakes and learn from them. And but at the same time, you got to balance that with, you have to be confident. You have to, especially in litigation settings in court, not for a second can you look like you don't know what you're doing. You have the lower hand. You gotta, and if you do have a problem, you have to acknowledge this thing exists. I get it. I understand it fully, but here's my point. So you got to come out strong and confident and compelling in court. But beyond that, I think really there should be a lot of room for us to be able to just be ourselves, and that's important. And you know what? I'm going to commit to doing that a little bit more, being a little more honest about that, and worrying less about what other lawyers or whoever thinks about me. I think that's good. I might make the profession a little bit friendlier, a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think it's also possible that you don't lose your capacity to be effective while you're doing that. I don't think you need to be arrogant or obnoxious to be an effective lawyer, particularly a litigator. I think about somebody like, it's fictitious, but Barney Miller, or not Barney Miller. Who was the old country lawyer in the seersucker suit? Andy Griffith. Anyway, there's all shucks Southern lawyer types.
Right.
A lawyer that passed away this past year, Phil North, was like that. He had this kind of aw shucks kind of approach to things, but he was wicked smart, and he was a pretty good litigator for sure. And he had this ability to look at a judge and kind of, knock his toes together and go, well, I might just be a simple lawyer from Southern Alberta, but it strikes me that, and then he'd make an incredibly erudite point. And I think in some ways that's more effective than trying to be arrogant with the judge and portray that things that they don't know.
Right, okay.
So I think we can be a little bit humble, but still be effective.
I like that, yeah.
When I do argument,
I still find my way in, I'm still finding my way in the courtroom, and I like to think that I'm effective, but I'm definitely still finding my way. And it's always it's almost like a drama show. It's almost like you got to put on a little act, and it's a little different and weird. And sometimes I'm a little on one end or the other. And I try to think that I do what occasion calls for, but it's definitely, I'm still finding my way there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the court's a weird place. I mean, I enjoy it. I've been doing it for 35 years.
Yeah.
There is an art to it. There is a certain artifice in that process. But I think even that being said, saying to a judge, I understand why you would have a misgiving over the argument I'm making. And it might appear to you at first glance that this is a problem. But understanding that doubt you may have, let me tell you why I think that the case we have is appropriate.
Yeah.
As opposed to, there's only one answer here, right? And it has to be this. I think the former approach might be more effective in the long run. Maybe it depends on the judge. But then there's another issue, I think, which is lawyer mental health. I think the extent to which we live a life that's a lie, that is inauthentic, that we're not being the person we want to be, that takes a toll. And I think when you can be yourself, when you can be vulnerable on some level, at least occasionally, I think it's healthier.
Yeah.
And I think the ability to be self-critical, not beat yourself up, but to ask yourself, could I have done a better job? Or have I been my best person today? I think that makes us healthier people, because the legal profession is known for high rates of addiction, high rates of suicide, burnout generally. And I think we can learn something from the Cranberry skateboard dude. It's kind of my thought.
I like it. I think that's a great idea.
So I don't know. I probably won't be skateboarding down a road drinking my Jack Daniels here. I think there's something there. I don't know. This is my thought for the week, I suppose.
All right. Well, let's commit to trying to be as genuine as we can and keep giving you a tough time. I like it. I've got 5 brothers, 2 sisters. I can take it and I'll give it back. So I think we got to keep that going on. That's healthy.
All right. Or we could just abuse Alan.
He could use it a little. Yeah.
I think so, because he's pretty smug.
He is pretty smug.
Talking about Alan Denbach, who's our partner that doesn't come on our podcast.
Yeah.
He's just a little too good for the rest of us or something, I guess. I don't know.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll let Alan have it this next week.
So anyway, what do you got planned for the weekend?
We have a very small wedding to attend. Yeah, my wife's brother is.
I understand you're going in a very tight circumstance with at least 50 people. So you're probably gonna have COVID Monday, is what you're telling me.
I think it's sort of the other way around. It is a small venue, but I think there's 2 floors to it, so I'm hoping that it helps. And then it's not that there's not a minimum of 50. I think there's a maximum of 50. And I'm hoping, and I think it's going to be less than that, including all staff and stuff. So we're following the guidelines, and it's a riskier situation, I suppose, than I would normally spend my weekend as far as COVID's concerned. But hey, it's not every day your little brother gets married. So here we go.
There is that. Although I did read this morning an article on where you're most likely to get COVID.
Oh no.
And the 2 highest places were bars and weddings.
Well, now in Lethbridge, it seems to be, we've got churches for sure on the list. What else have we seen?
A lot of weddings at churches, though. So there's that.
Oh, true. Yeah, all right. That's a good point. Lots of weddings and churches, yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm freaked out about it or not. I mean, Donald Trump got through it, no problems, apparently, although Nancy Pelosi wants to bring a 25th Amendment argument that he's got loss of capacity. Somebody maybe should have that discussion about her. Or most senior politicians in the United States probably have some diminished capacity.
Yeah, let's be a little cautious about COVID. We let it kind of stop the world for a bit, and I don't think we can let that continue, but we should be careful and cautious.
Yeah, we were kind of riding a wave there. At one point, we had 0 COVID cases in Lethbridge.
And for a while too, yeah, but now.
And then last week, it kind of went nuts.
Yeah,
a little bit for Lethbridge.
Yeah.
I don't know, what do we got now? 18 cases live here now or something like that?
No, I think it's 38 in Lethbridge.
In Lethbridge?
Active, yeah. It's just under 40. And I think in Lethbridge County, it's just under 30 or just over 30. Look it up, yeah.
I'm going to look it up.
There's quite a few right now. So we got to be kind of careful.
Let's see. Lethbridge News Now.
big fire on the west side this morning.
A fire. Oh, there you are. Apartment fire. That looks like my old apartment building. Where's that at?
Walsh Drive, sort of behind Save on Foods.
Oh, no. That's not me.
No.
I don't see any Lethbridge COVID stuff.
22 hours ago, the
Okay.
article is titled "Province Announces Voluntary Restrictions in Edmonton as COVID Cases Surge." And if you kind of follow down to the bottom, the breakdown for the South Zone is 44 active in Lethbridge.
Really?
Lethbridge County, 33 active.
So apparently I'm going to be at home all weekend.
Be careful.
Expose myself. I'm old. I'm 58 years old.
I've been telling you that for a long time.
And I'm not skinny. And so stout people, nice way to refer to fat people, are at greater risk for COVID complications.
Stay home.
Or fragile people, not naming names, but
No.
people.
So stay home. Enjoy your weekend at home.
I know. Going to Thanksgiving with my parents on Monday, but it's just them and my daughter.
Yeah, we're kind of skipping that because we're after our gathering on the Saturday. We don't want to expose anybody, so we're we're not going to do anything. Yeah.
You're not even having your own little Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah. Our household will have our own little Thanksgiving dinner.
Are you going to make a turkey?
I bought it a couple days ago. Yeah.
Damn it.
I've got a new gas oven. I've never cooked a turkey in, so I'm excited.
Is it convection?
Double ones. Convection, yes.
Yes, they work very nice, I find,
For a turkey.
with everything. But yes, turkey.
Well, yeah, for everything. Yeah, it's been good. Yeah.
My mother's making a ham, and I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, and I love seeing my mom and dad, but I really wanted a turkey, so I might just cook a turkey tomorrow just by myself.
You know what? I would have preferred a ham, but we have a turkey. We should exchange leftovers is what we should
You
do.
go to see my mom and dad now, have dinner with your kids and your wife.
I don't really want to get anyone else sick. That's my... All right, yeah, fine. I'll go see your mom and dad.
All right. Well, anyway,
Is everybody?
we're sort of half hour in roughly. Enjoy the weekend, and I guess we'll see you Tuesday.
See you Tuesday.
Ciao.